What is going on, everybody? Today we are talking user history tracking in Salesforce. I'm going to show you how to do this step by step using Apex. So the first thing we're going to do is create a custom object, and I've already done this just to keep it simple. It's called user history, and so there's 4 fields on this. We've got the old value, the new value, the user that it's related to, and we're using a lookup here because master details aren't supported as user record as the parent, and then we have the field API name in here. And the next thing we're going to do is create a custom metadata type. So this is going to allow us to specify which fields we want to track. And this will allow it so that you don't need to go into the Apex or any other sort of automation in order to actually make the changes to this. You can just do it straight from the custom metadata type. All right, we're going to call this user history fields. Same thing. And we're not going to create any fields because we're just going to use the API name of the metadata record to store the actual fields we want to track. So we're going to do manage, and then I'm going to create a new one. And I'm just going to use the about me field on the user just to keep it simple, since that's just a standard text field. Just for this example. So now that we've got the custom metadata type set up, we're going to open Visual Studio Code, and we're going to create a class here, and I'm going to call this create user history. The name isn't super important right now, and we're going to make this public class, and we're going to create a method called We're going to call this handle updated users, and it's going to return a list of user history records. And we're not really using the return here in this example. We're going to be using that in the test class. So I'm just keeping that there to keep it simple, so that way you don't need to requery for those records when you're running that test class. And now we're going to create a set of strings right here, and that's going to get all of the custom metadata type records, and we're doing getAll.keySet, and that's going to return the API names of those records in a set. So this would normally return the map, and we're just getting the keys from that to put that directly into a set here. And now we're going to iterate over the user records in the trigger transaction. So for user in list user, and we're going to get that from the trigger.new collection. So trigger.new. And now if we just did for user in trigger.new, that's returning a list of S objects. And so just to illustrate the point here, I'm just casting that to an actual user object. It's just to make it a little bit more clear on what we're doing here. And so now we need to get the old user record before it was updated in the trigger transactions. We're going to do old user equals user old.get user.id. And again, we're casting the user to the value that's retrieved from the trigger collections. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a separate method called getChangedFields. And I'm breaking this off just to make it a little more readable and easy to understand. So this is going to return a set of string, and these are all the fields that were changed in the trigger transaction. And we're going to find those by iterating over a collection using this method here. So right there. So what this method is doing is, this is not a method I created, this is a method in the Salesforce SObject class. So it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's getting the populated fields from a particular SObject and returning a map of those. And it's going to be a map of the API name of the field with the value. So we're going to loop over that, and we're going to say if old record. Oh, and this needs to, for the parameters on this, we need the user that's in the trigger transaction that's getting updated, and we need the old version of that. And we're going to say if old user get populated field equal new user populated field. Then we are going to add these to a set of string. We're going to call this changed fields, new set string. Populate field. So what we're doing here is we're saying for every populated field on the new user record, we are going to see, does the value match with the value from the old user record that existed before this trigger transaction? And if it doesn't match, then we're adding it to a set of string, which is the change fields, and we're going to return that to the previous method right here. So we're going to say for string, change fields, we'll just call this new user actually. User. So for all of the change fields, if our custom metadata type record contains that field, meaning we want to track it, then we are going to create a user history object or user history record just to record that change that's being made. So I'm going to create a third method down here, which is going to get the user history record. I'm going to call it get user history, and it's going to accept the change field as a string, and then two users, the old and the new. And we're going to create a user history object in here, and we're going to set the user as the new user in this context, so it's related to that. It's the old value, equals old user.get change field. And same thing with the new value, user.get change field. And then we're going to put the field API name in a field as well. So field API name equals change field. And then, yep, it's returning that. So we need a list of user history that we're going to insert after the loop is done. So we're going to do user history.add, and this is get user history. Okay. So just a quick summary, we're getting all of the custom metadata types of the fields we're trying to track. We're looping over the users in the current trigger transaction, and then we're getting the old user compared to values. We're checking, are there any change fields? And if so, add them to a set of string. Then we're going to iterate over that set, and we are going to see, is this change field something we want to track? If yes, add to an insertion list all of the user history records. And after this loop, we're going to do insert that list and return it. And so now what we're going to do is create a trigger. Since I'm using developer edition, this doesn't exist, but if you guys already have that, just integrate it within your existing trigger in whatever after update methods you have in there. So trigger on user after updates. I'm going to say new history dot update users. And we don't need to pass anything in here because you can just reference the trigger variables in this without being accepted as parameters. So we're going to deploy this to our org. Okay, so user doesn't exist, it's a new user, forgot to change that. And then line 31, we need to cast these to a, so what we need to do is cast this to a string, since it's returning an object. And go ahead and deploy that. Yep, so that deployed, so we're going to deploy the trigger as well. Okay, so now we can run a quick test of that. We're going to do, yep, select that. I'm going to edit my user record. I'm going to edit my user record here. I'm going to add the about me field. I'm going to say, hey, save that. Now we're going to check, do we have any user history records that are inserted? Yep. So now we're going to check, do I have any user history records? And we find one. Going to open that up. And you see the new value A, old value nothing, the field we're tracking, and this is the data that's created right here. And it's currently related to my user developer edition. So I also have the test class here if you want to see that. I've already written it out just to make this a little bit faster. But basically all we're doing is we're getting the system out and profile ID. We're inserting a user in the test setup method. And then we're getting that user, updating the about me field. And then we're confirming that everything was updated down here after requerying for that record. And yeah, so that's about it. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. I just got this from the Ideas Exchange. I'm going to be making a few videos like this in the future as well. Just creating solutions and then just putting them out for free. So feel free to leave a comment if you want to see more, and thanks for watching.